Very nice crowd on hand here tonight for the Daytona Supercross by Honda. First time under the lights at Daytona International Speedway for motorcycle racing. A portent of things to come. Certainly, I think, for the Supercross. Will they ever have motorcycle road racing under the lights? That remains to be seen. But we're certainly enjoying this one as we get set to go with heat number 1 of the 250 class. And in this one will be one of those championship contenders, Kevin Windam. In the other will be his rival, Chad Reed. There's Windam on the 14 bike, front and center there, the Honda CRF 450. The AMSOIL-sponsored machine. Windam out of Mississippi. And we sweep across the start there. Isaiah Johnson on the 198. These guys now their turn to get nervous and get it on, as we say, Ricky.
We saw Travis Pastrana so excited about this race. But, Greg, what do you have for us?
Well, Jeff Stanton, who works with the Honda team, told his guys, line up just to the left of the Honda box. That's going to give you more of a straight shot into turn 1. And when you get there, roll out of it just a little so you can dive on the inside, just like James Stewart did earlier in the 125.
Well, if you can do what James Stewart did, the board is sideways, get through that first corner second. James Stewart's qualifying time was 25 seconds faster than Steve Lansing.
With fireworks added by the promoters, the fireworks in 250 are underway. Kevin Windam with the whole shot into turn number 1. Half the field, it seems like, running wide, but in fact only one rider off the racetrack. Windam's out in front, but not by much.
Pastrana got bounced around a little bit. Jeremy Israel with and Travis Pastrana just taking the words right out of my mouth. Went from 5th to 2nd in one stretch of whoops. Unbelievable.
Man, oh man, the comeback of Travis Pastrana has certainly gotten off with a bang here as he went from 5th to 2nd in one little straightaway behind Kevin Windam. Now, is Windam ever going to look back, or is somebody going to have to tell him that the 199 is coming?
Oh, no, Kevin will know. Kevin's one of the riders on the 4-stroke 450. Kevin manages the power very well, but Travis Pastrana has not ridden since the opening round of the 2003 Nashville. Been out with a knee injury, re-injured it in freestyle, then now this is his first race back and looking very, very strong.
Well, Kevin Windam did what he had to do, get out in front, but he has not had to contend with Travis Pastrana for over a year. So Windam may remember, he may not, how to race against this youngster if he gets up to him.
Well, you know what I call Travis Pastrana is a 6'3" Bob Hanna. He lets the bike swap side to side. It doesn't worry him. That's his comfort zone. We're watching the different riders. David Vuillemin and Jeremy Israel having a very, very strong start and running out there. So it's good to see some different riders up there in the mix.
Vuillemin on the number 12 machine that we looked at right there, the blue Yamaha, but 4 riders and 4 only transfer out of this one. So Windam looks good. Pastrana looks good. Perhaps his fitness, his endurance might be at issue. If he just gets out into a second position like this, will he play it safe and say, okay, fine, I'm going to get into the main, I'm not going to wear myself out?
But when he talked in the opening ceremony, he was saying, well, you know, I haven't raced that much, and he's a very humble character, but he said, yeah, I want to win. But you know what? This is a different Travis Pastrana than I've ever seen. Very smart, not trying to jump everything, not trying to impress everybody. I think he's going to watch Kevin Windam, learn from him, and then come back and give it everything he's got in the main event.
Well, Vuillemin in 3rd position, and the 4th and final transfer position right now going to Keith Johnson as they crossed the line the last time.
Yeah, my mistake. I thought that was Jeremy Israel, but that's Keith Johnson out there from the East Coast. Keith Johnson, we got 2 of them. We got one from up northeast, and we also got one from New Mexico. Keith Johnson making his debut out here and running very strong.
Again, only 4 transfer. If you're just joining us, we had 9 transfer out of the 125 heats, but only 4 in the 250s. They go to a second round in semis, and then finally a last chance qualifier. Looking at the 12 machine of David Vuillemin right now.
David Vuillemin was one of the only riders to catch, chase down, and beat Ricky Carmichael last year, but hasn't been able to put it through. He was in that controversial scuttle with Kevin Windam at Phoenix. You know, he chopped Kevin chopped him harder. David went flying. They docked Kevin 10 points, but in the rebuttal they got that back. Now we're watching Grant Langston out there. A little interesting. Running that little E helmet. He's got the 8, so he's running a little bit of stock car. Maybe he's looking for a little favor down here in Daytona.
Nathan Ramsey holding the 4th and final transfer position. This is a battle for 5th. They have to settle the issue with each other before one of them can set out after Ramsey and try to get into the main event here from the heat.
Now, I've been in this position. You get a great start. You're running strong like Kevin Windam, and now all of a sudden you see a guy that hasn't raced in over a year chasing you down. You're doing everything you feel is right, and you're watching this 6'3" kid chase you down and now all over your back fender.
Windam and Pastrana nose to tail right now. Windam still riding in a very controlled fashion. He hasn't panicked under any circumstances. but Pastrana can put panic in you if you haven't felt it in a while. Just being back has given everybody a thrill.
Well, Pastrana said in the past that he feels that Kevin Windham is the world's best rider. So smooth, so slick, but now he's learning from him, and let's see what he does with him. Looks like Travis got a little more speed. I was amazed at how fast he went at the test track this week, and it's showing that it's not a fluke.
Well, I was going to say, you've been with him for this last week when that decision to come here and race was made, so what is he doing here?
Well, he's racing, man. He went out there, did motos, looked strong, was fast, and he's putting it all together.
Kevin Windam in the air and just in front of Travis Pastrana right now. 3 laps down, heading for the finish of 4, and it is going to put 4 riders into the main event.
It's one thing for Travis to follow Kevin this close, but if he can catch Kevin and pass him, that will give him such an emotional boost going into this main event. But you notice, you see, Travis isn't taking chances. This is not the old Travis that we used to see before. That it was checkers or wreckers. He's out there to learn, and I think he's going to be strong in that main event.
A 7-lap race to qualify only 4 riders. Pastrana banking it off the Byrne behind Kevin Windam right now, and I think Dave Despain has something to add to all of this.
We had Beatty Coombs on the other night from Racer X magazine, sort of joining the general opinion, I think, about the unpredictability of Travis Pastrana. A little bobble right there as he tries to reel in Windam. His take on it was, Travis Pastrana could go out and win this race or go out and finish dead last, and neither would surprise me. I think that volatility is what gets this crowd so excited as they watch this kid. And these people are going bananas as he gets up there to race with Kevin Windam.
Our esteemed colleague Dave Despain up in the Victory Lane building. We'll be hearing from him from time to time. Right now, we're hearing everything we can stand from Kevin Windam and Travis Pastrana. Stay with us.
877-99 Steel.
Welcome back to the Daytona Supercross by Honda under the lights at the Daytona International Speedway. Kevin Windam, Travis Pastrana getting into the lappers already very soon as Windam is still out in front. Pastrana's been hounding him for several laps. Got up to him pretty quick, has not been able to make a move just yet. Greg White. Well, we'll catch Greg in just a moment. He had something to add as Windam has gotten past a couple of lap riders pretty quickly. Are they going to balk Travis Pastrana up a little bit? No.
Well, they're not hurting Travis. Travis is getting through him well. But Greg, what do you have for us?
Well, first thing, Kevin Windam, I spent some time with him last night, and we talked briefly about how this track is more like an outdoor national than any other track they go to in the Supercross series. He was real confident. The second thing is on Travis Pastrana. We went to his pit and wanted to get a hold of him, but he was back at the hotel. The Suzuki team wanted to keep every bit of energy in him as possible, and my question is Travis going to spend the extra energy to catch Windam, pass him, and win this, or just make it to the main event?
Well, if you know Travis Pastrana, like everybody knows Travis Pastrana, he's going to give it all he's got. But he is learning from Kevin. He has a world of respect for Kevin. These two guys rode for Suzuki the year before, and they raced together. As you can see him, he's learning from him. Even though Travis is known as the best freestyler, he knows that Kevin Windam can put sections together.
Oh, Kevin Windam just made a mistake that handed Travis Pastrana the lead. So Windam, who was riding flawlessly up until that point, now we'll see if Pastrana can handle the pressure on this final lap. They have just switched positions and are so far in front of everybody else, about 18 seconds in front of third place, but they just swapped spots.
Kevin Windam lost rhythm. That's where Brock Kepler had trouble. That's what you try to do is stay on top of all those tabletops, and now Travis Pastrana swapping side to side. Some people might look at that as a mistake, but like I said, this is a 6'3" Bob Hanna who lives in that swapping side-to-side zone.
Travis Pastrana, one of only a couple of riders to win in 125. Checkered flag is out, and Travis Pastrana gives us a little taste of some of that freestyle. Kevin Windam, a more subdued finish behind him. Both will go to the final, along with the next 2 riders to finish, which should be David Vuillemin and Nathan Ramsey.
Right now, a battle between, I think it's Keith Johnson and Grant Langston making a sudden move. And then Ramsey goes up, and I'm at a loss for words.
It's Vuillemin and Ramsey that hold off Langston, but what a wild finish there between Nathan Ramsey and Grant Langston for that final transfer position. We'll take another look at the lead as Travis Pastrana mounts the podium there. Here's what happened to the number 14, Kevin Windam.
I told you cannot relax here at Daytona. Those grooves don't look like much, but he was a little bit off to the side, overjumped that just by a hair. When you put even the world's best rider 2 inches off to the left, that's trouble.
So Travis Pastrana ends up with the win. Those tough blocks don't give you an inch. Even if you land on top of them, they're a whole lot different than the dirt. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Well, you were wondering why maybe you came here to Daytona. I think checkered flags was the reason, and you got one. And the big difference was getting through that rhythm section the last time. How did you catch him and pass him?
Really wasn't up to me. I was just riding pretty much as hard as I could. K-Dog messed up that rhythm a little bit. Hopefully put a little pressure on him, but man, K-Dog's an awesome rider. I'm just stoked to be here. This is great.
You know, you took a lot of time today to rest and relax and get yourself up to speed physically for this race. Now, the heat race is in the books. How do you feel, and do you have enough energy left to do the same thing in the main?
Oh, don't tell anyone, but I'm spent. No, it should be good. I'm going to get out there and give it my all. Hopefully, if I can stay with them, you know, halfway, I'll be able to pick it up towards the end.
What are you going to do now to relax and get that stamina built up for the main?
Go back and go to bed. Maybe watch James Stewart. That guy's amazing. Pissing me off.
He's moving on.
And we will come back. We will see more of Travis Pastrana. It'll be a while from now. We got a lot more between then and now. We've set 20% of the 250 field. We've got the rest coming up right now. Welcome back to the Daytona Supercross by Honda here at Daytona International Speedway. Let's go quickly down to Ralph Shaheen with a special guest.
That would be Roger DeCoster, the man in charge of the Suzuki team. Roger, you've had a chance to see Travis ride in the heat race now. How do you feel about his performance, and does he have enough energy left for the main event tonight?
Well, it's hard to say, you know. He's only been back riding 3 weeks, and he was riding fantastic, and he was patient, which has not been a quality that he usually has had in the past. And but I think he can be on the podium in the main also. Even if it is not for the win, I think he has the speed to win, but he may not have the endurance. Probably not, but the podium should be possible.
Thank you, Roger. And Brian, that's a very big point, because really what Suzuki's looking at here tonight is not necessarily having him run the entire season. They're giving him a lot of leeway in what he does this year. Their main focus is on the 2005 Supercross season with Travis Pastrana.
Well, Travis Pastrana is safely into the final, and in this one now, the championship points leader, Chad Reed, along with others. We also have an onboard camera in this race, so when you see it, it's the number 32, Andrew Short, on the Suzuki. MotorWorldRacing.com sponsored machine into the turn where it's heat number 2. And boy, what a shuffle going in there. The first rider to the turn is the second rider coming out.
Sean Hamlin, a Suzuki rider, very strong, shows a lot of talent with a great hole shot with Michael Byrne in second. And now we have Michael LaRocco with his 200th start is in third place.
And where is Chad Reed? About 5th coming off the line. So he's got to move up a spot just to get to the main event in this heat race. Chad Reed, the number 22, Yamaha will be looking for him.
Chad Reed right there coming into your frame, working his way past Joe Olaf. Now he's got to work on Michael LaRocco. LaRocco, not the easiest guy to pass. He can get very wide.
Yes, indeed. And Chad Reed in the 22 bike working his way up to LaRocco on the 5 Honda. And here's what it looks like. Ride with the 32 of Andrew Short.
Well, as you see, when you come down, you're jumping 30 to 40 feet in the air, and you're trying to land in these 8-inch grooves. It's a very, very tough environment out there. You got rocks getting thrown in your face and sand back and forth. So, very tough track here at Daytona.
If you tuned in looking for drama, I'm looking for my Dramamine.
Andrew Short, very strong rider, riding the 125 West Coast. Now, this is his 4th race on a 250 this year. Very, very strong rider for MotorWorldRacing.com.
There's the 22, Chad Reed, up behind LaRocco. We're watching these two. They're running in 3rd and 4th positions right now, I believe. And out in front, we've got Hamlin, the whole shot rider. Here is Reed coming up alongside. Coming up alongside. Is Mike LaRocco going to make himself wide at an inopportune moment? Back on board with Andrew Short.
And so we can see right there in Andrew Short's view that Reed gets by LaRocco. Now he's got to go work on his own countryman, Michael Byrne. Michael Byrne also from Australia.
Byrne on the 26 bike up in front. A Team Chevy Truck sponsored Kawasaki. So indeed, Chad Reed has gotten past one of the harder riders to pass, and now he's coming up behind countryman Byrne on the 26 green bike.
Now, we talked earlier about lap times. Travis Pastrana Pastrana and Kevin Windham's best lap time was a 1:11. As we talked earlier, even though the track was a little better, Bubba Stewart with a 1:10. Let's see what Chad Reed can do, and also Sean Hamlin out in front. Their lap times now, last lap for Hamlin was a 1:12.
Here comes Reed, just skating across the top of those bumps. Takes the position away from Byrne, and now he sits in the number 2 spot.
Yeah, he sets his sights on Hamlin. Also, when we talked earlier with Reed, he loves to race. This guy is a competitor. I think the worst thing could ever happen was when he dominated Anaheim. He came back and I think took the competition too lightly, and that's when Kevin Windham put it to him in Phoenix. So the more the racing that he has to do, the better. So I think him getting a bad start in this first heat, in his first heat tonight, was a good thing for him. It gives him something to fight for.
Chad Reed in second position. The gauntlet has been thrown down by Travis Pastrana, winning heat number 1. Reed wants to match that, no doubt, as he is behind the number 36, Sean Hamlin, but chasing awful hard and looking very smooth. It took him a couple of laps to really kind of get all the kinks out.
Yeah, Reed was about 0.3 of a second faster, both doing a 1:12. But Sean Hamlin is known as one of the most talented riders. Had some small problems, but he's been very comfortable on the Suzuki RM250, and now he's showing that he has the speed to run with the best in the world.
We're watching Chad Reed trying to chase down the leader. Hamlin currently 9th in points. Chad Reed, the points leader in the 250 Supercross Series. Coming up behind him, picks a different line, clear view through some of the whoops there. He's got position on the left-hander, and Chad Reed takes the lead.
Yeah, Chad took a line way off to the left, sort of stay out of the main line. Chad and Bubba are very similar like that they comb the whole track. They don't run one line.
So now Hamlin shuffled back into second position. Sean Hamlin was the whole shot leader, but now your leader is the same man who leads the standing. Chad Reed's out in front.
.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Mike LaRocco now trying to take the number 3 spot away, or this battle for third position. He's right there with Byrne on the 26 machine. Byrne was in second and now slipped back to third. So he's got the spot that LaRocco wants. Both are solidly in the transfer positions. Again, 7 laps, 4 riders to transfer directly to the main.
200 starts. This guy's raced with everybody. I think he might have even done a couple laps with Moses back in the day. But to be honest with you, he was racing back when I was racing. He's been around. He's been strong. But he still hasn't gotten the starts down. I've always wanted Mike LaRocco to get a hole shot. But you know why? Maybe he doesn't because this is what he does best. Comes from the back, moves forward, and he's a journeyman. He loves to fight. He loves the battle.
He's absolutely embroiled in one right now as he swings wide just a little bit right there behind Byrne. Again, 3rd and 4th place, the number 26 and 5 bikes.
Mike LaRocco missing the Daytona Supercross in 02 and 03 with knee injuries. So now Mike LaRocco is probably very stoked to be back here at Daytona, one of the most prestigious Supercrosses of all time, to be his 200th career start. I mean, that's a feat in itself.
And a little more from Greg White.
Had dinner last night with Mike LaRocco and said that exact thing to him about his starts. I said, what is going on with your starts? He said, look, man, I love Daytona, but I like a short start where I can just get a good start and get the bike turned. It's so long here that he feels like he's at a disadvantage. However, it's under the lights at Daytona. It's Friday night. We have practically a full moon. I think Mike LaRocco might win it all. What do you think, RJ?
I think that's a pretty tall order with the speed that we're seeing out there. But Mike LaRocco, very strong. Greg, I have a question for you. Who bought dinner, you or Mike?
Honda bought dinner.
Seeing as how it is the Supercross by Honda, so it's appropriate.
Always.
But here we're watching Byrne doing a great job holding his own line, but Mike LaRocco trying insides, trying outsides, never giving up.
Well, I love it when 2 guys can push the check across the table to a third party. Ralph?
Brian, one other thing that falls into the advantage of a rider like LaRocco, who has tons of experience, is the fact that this racetrack has about 6 different surfaces to it. Grass, sand, limestone, and even some sections where all of that has been combined over the years is really something that nobody, even the Professor Gary Bailey, who makes this racetrack, really knows what that compound is anymore. And as you search around this racetrack, there's different things in different areas. You can tell it by the different colors. And of course, at a normal Supercross, it's pretty much whatever that particular region of the country provides for dirt.
Definitely, you're right, Ralph. Here at Daytona, you got the shale that gets square-edged and slick. You got the orange clay that's consistent and great traction. You got the sand that's ever-changing. So very, very good point. The dirt makes this race so challenging.
Watching the battle for third, Greg Moore?
Yeah, just on the surface. The thing is, the lights are going from different directions, and when you get into the dark stuff, it's casting shadows on some of the deeper ruts, and the riders are saying it's a little bit difficult to get around, and you can see when they get into the light stuff where Chad Reed is, that the ruts are really easy to see. When you get into the dark stuff, it's kind of sketchy. White flag's out, though, Brian.
All right, white flag is out. Speaking of lights, Musco brought in 4 lighting trucks, 120-foot tall towers, 15 lights on each one, 90,000 watts. That's lighting this place up in addition to what they already have here.
Chad Reed's down to a 111, just like Windham and Pastrana. But look, going back to Byrne and LaRocco, 8 years difference in age.
And Mike LaRocco's first ever podium in 250 Supercross came right here in 1989. He was third.
Here we're watching Chad Reed. The guy is like a surgeon. He does what needs to be done. And here we go back to LaRocco and Byrne going tooth and nail. LaRocco is not going to give up.
Chad Reed, of course, we chronicled earlier, trying to become the first international rider since Pierre Carsmakers won this race 30 years ago here at Daytona. So a little place in history, a footnote, if you will, to Chad Reed, who is already the Supercross Series leader. He is the leader on the racetrack. He, too, has got 111 laps under the belt right now on a deteriorating course. You said, Ricky, the course slows down, so to do a faster lap or to equal the lap time on a more deteriorated course, Reed's flying, too.
Reed is running definitely strong. He brings home the victory. And here's still the dice between Byrne and LaRocco. LaRocco shoots to the outside, tries to gain a little momentum, but Byrne's in position to cut him off.
And does, as Mike LaRocco may have to settle for 4th position and be satisfied with simply a spot in the main event, and that will be his 200th Supercross start out of some 240 that have ever been held. Mike LaRocco's got a way high percentage.
Well, Mike LaRocco is now in the main event. To make that 200 start, he has to make it to the main event. He's just done so. But somebody that we didn't talk much about and didn't see much was Sean Hamlin. Great job by him.
Let's go to Ralph.
Well, Chad, once you battled your way to the front, you turned lap times that were competitive to what Pastrana and Windham did in the first round. So you must be feeling pretty good about that. Where did you find that speed?
I feel great. You know, I just got to get off of the gate and get a good start so I can run with those guys. You know, it's a long race, and I really look forward to it. You know, I really been looking forward to this race for a long time now, and I got my butt kicked really bad last year with Ricky, and try to redeem myself.
This is the first time you've had a look at the racetrack under the lights. How is it?
It's not too bad. It's a little dark in some places, but you know, everybody has the same challenges as I do, and just really looking forward to the main event. You know, I want to thank my team Yamaha for getting me out there, and Black's running awesome, and all the guys at Thor Putts Unlimited and Scott Bridgestone. I'm looking forward to it tonight and putting it up on the winner's circle.
Brian?
All right, well, Chad Reed is in along with Kevin Windham and Travis Pastrana. Mike LaRocco set to make his 200th Supercross start. We're paying off our stories, aren't we?
Motorcycle financing can have a funny way of changing on you when you don't expect it. So keep your eyes open and get a straight deal that doesn't change with financing that's as solid as a Honda. Right now, get 0 down payment and lock in a low 6.9% fixed APR for up to 5 years or 3.9% fixed APR for up to 3 years on BTX 1800, Goldwing, or Aquatrax. So head for your Honda dealer today. And remember, it's not just a deal, it's a straight deal, and it's from Honda.
A huge crowd on hand, and another one expected tomorrow as we're going to be wrapping up this big Daytona Bike Week here on Speed Channel. All sorts of action for you, concluding with the Daytona 200 by a ride tomorrow. 1:30 p.m. we'll do the pre-race show. The race itself scheduled to start at 2 o'clock, and that'll be the conclusion of a 6-hour motorcycle road racing and dirt track marathon that ought to be a great deal of fun. Well, the crowd had the opportunity to cheer for the man who won 4 of these races in a row. He's the Grand Marshal. Ricky Carmichael, welcome to the show. Before we hear from you, what we want to hear is what everybody else is saying about you, because you're not out there. So they're not trash talking, but we gave them the opportunity to talk about what Supercross is like in the absence of the man who dominates the sport. Listen up.
It's maybe a good for some of the riders that say, oh, we're gonna gain 1 position, you know. But for the other guys, the top guys, we don't train and race to be Ricky Carmichael. We race to win a championship. So whatever it takes, and in training, and you know, and the sacrifice, you know, for the we do it either Ricky is here or not. And but there's always some people saying, oh, the 04 champion is going to be champion without Ricky and blah blah blah. But I don't feel that way because, you know, Chad beat Ricky 6 times in a row, the 6 last races last year, and he won US Open. I think the best guy out there now it's Chad, not Ricky. You know, and even if Ricky has 3 titles and all that, you know, it's the past show that Chad is the #1 guy in Supercross right now. So now the guy to beat is Chad, not Ricky.
I hate to have Ricky out, you know, and at the beginning of the season, you know, there was a little bit of injury with Chad too, and I think it was important to have at least one of them too, considering how they did last year, you know, to give some validity to the season and not have a shadow casted over the champion if it wasn't one of those two. But I think if Ricky was here, it would definitely be a 3-way battle.
I think if Ricky were here, I think that I would like to think that it would be the same. You know, I did a lot of hard work in the off season and a lot of preparation before my shoulder injury. So, you know, whether he was here or not, I think I was prepared to take him on and to race all 16 races. I know that that's what it takes to beat Ricky in the championship. So, it definitely you know, bums me out a little bit that he's not here. But I think that being able to be in the position that I am, beating him last year and beating him at the U.S. Open, I think that, you know, I don't feel bad and I don't feel like I'm missing anything by not racing him. I think that, you know, I think that the fans are definitely missing out on a lot of great racing, but I think that I could, you know, hopefully win the title whether he was here or not.
Well, I think Reed got the last part of that right. The fans are the ones missing out on seeing you out there. May 16th is going to be your opportunity to come back and shut all those guys up. Are you going to be ready for the opener at Glen Helen?
Well, that's the plan. I tell you, I'm looking forward to it, and if everything goes right, I should be ready. I get 6 weeks to prepare, and you know, I've been doing cardio and everything now in rehab, so the only thing I'm lacking now is time on the bike.
Knee surgery, of course. I guess we didn't mention that at the top. That's the reason you're here in the first place.
Yeah.
When Windham was hurt, he reevaluated his career and his life, and he came back happier. He came back faster than ever, but it was the first time he really had to sit out. He was sort of in the same situation. Any high-level, life-changing reflections going on for Ricky Carmichael? You going to come back a different guy in any way?
I don't think, you know, I'm going to come back a different guy. I think I'm going to come back recharged. I'm still going to have the same attitude that I've always had. You know, it's just, and I'm not out as long as he was. So,
for sure.
you know, I do realize how much I love the sport and how much more I want to accomplish within myself and personal goals. So, you know, but I'm not going to look at it any different. I'm still going to have the same attitude.
What have you seen so far that might help us identify who's going to win this thing tonight? Who impresses you?
Well, I think by looking at the heat races, I believe that Reed would be the favorite. I was thinking LaRocco would get up there, but he looked like he was having a tough time in the heat. But he comes around in the main. So I think Kevin will be good, and Pastrana, it's hard to tell. Depends if he keeps it up. He looked really good out there in his heat race, so we'll see what happens.
What about the racetrack? Is it going to be as rough, do you think, as what we've seen in the past?
Definitely. It's definitely, I was down there on the track, and it was getting a lot rougher than I anticipated it on getting. It's going to be a gnarly main event. Even the only thing we're lacking is heat. So it's going to be rough as always.
All right, buddy, listen, good to get back in a hurry. Thanks for stopping by. You're a busy Grand Marshal. Let's talk about Kevin Windham. Had a reputation as one of the fastest guys out there, broke the femur. Question was, does this guy want to race? His answer is yes.
I mean, I've been around this thing my whole life, and it just managed to kind of suck me back in, and you know, I'm having fun again, and that's the big thing. And as long as I'm in that state of mind and doing it, then I'll be around. You know, it's been a good return.
This past year has been something for this guy. Promising flashes of past brilliance, suddenly turning into weekly contention for the win.
Well, coming into the season, I didn't know what to expect. The only thing that I had going for me is I had been testing with Ricky and was doing times competitive with his. So I felt like I felt good. You know, I felt like I could come in and you know, put in some strong results. It was a real test of my mental ability, I guess, after the first Anaheim, because I finished so poorly. I got a ninth, and then to rebound after the next one and get first, and you know, it's kind of giving me the confidence I need to put together some strong wins. It's still a lot of fun right now. You know, I got my time away, you know, and now I'm back, and it almost seems like the second chapter to my life, you know. It's and definitely my racing career, and it wasn't before, and I think that's what kind of caused even my injury and definitely my retirement. So it's great to be back. You know, I started racing when I was 3. I'm 26 now. I have 23 years of experience, professional since I was 16, and I feel like I'm at the best, you know, the best position, the best level that I've ever been at in this sport. And that in itself is a tremendous accomplishment, and you know, just keep looking forward. I don't really see the end right now, and that's great. That's a good feeling, knowing that, you know, I could possibly have another 5 or 10 years.
I'll say this, I have not heard one soul say they're not happy to see Kevin Windam back. Gotta love race fans, you know. You come, you pay the big buck for the ticket for the Friday night under the full moon race, and then these folks pay another $10 to get down there and sit on the banking and stand down by the gate just because they're that much closer to the action. Love those Supercross fans. We'll be right back. Back at Daytona, this huge crowd now turning its attention in this 34th Daytona Supercross by Honda to the 250 main event. We've had Travis Pastrana and Chad Reed each win a heat race. Pastrana's quicker by 4 seconds. That could be significant. As for Reed, well, it's an old familiar motorcycle racing story. A little kid gets a mini bike, grows up to be a big star. For the Australian kid Putt-Putt, that story has a couple of twists.
My first ever motorcycle was the Yamaha Pee Wee 50. I had that at the age of 3.5, and my dad at the time was really into horses. He rode horses a lot, and you know, me being young, I wanted a horse as well. And then my cousins and my uncle and people like that had motorcycles, and I decided one day that I was to want a motorcycle as well, and we traded the horse in and got the money and went and bought a PW50. So it was pretty cool, and I remember, you know, riding on the little small you know, lot next to my mom and dad's house, and just learning how to ride, and just, you know, as long as I can remember, really never ever being too much of a problem for me. It just seemed like you know, I was able to do it. And actually I had a nickname when I was young. My mom would call me Putt-Putt because I would ride and I would just keep turning the gas, and I never just would hold it wide open. I would just turn it and turn it. I just wanted to, I don't know, maybe I liked the feeling of turning the thing, but a lot of hard work to get me out of that, and from then on, just seems like everything's steamrolled, and just, you know, trying to be the best I can.
By the age of 11, Putt-Putt had made a dozen trips alone to Indonesia to test his racing skills. By age 18, he was the Australian Supercross champ, headed to Europe. His goals were set, his maturity far beyond his years.
Growing up was always one of the main priorities for me, was to grow up fast and to get to where I am now, which is racing Supercross in America on a 250 factory team and being just like my old-time idol, Jeremy McGrath.
The world would soon take notice. Reed finished second in the 2001 FIM Championship in his first attempt. His reward, a phone call from the States, Yamaha of Troy, offering a ride for 125 Supercross. He packed his bags.
My first year was a tough one because I really was comfortable riding 250s. I had been racing 250s since '98, and I had to, you know, take a step back and ride 125s, and it was something that was tougher than I thought. You know, when I took the phone call from Eric Kehoe, I was so excited and so ready to come to America. I mean, it could have been to race anything. I was just ready to come here, and you know, when I learned that I had to test and ride the bikes and stuff like that, it was a lot tougher than I expected. I really admit that.
In 2001, this guy won 7 of 8 races along with the 125 East title. His reward for 02, a Yamaha factory ride on a 250. He won the World Supercross GP title for Yamaha and served notice that he would be a serious factor for the American Championship by winning the last 6 races of the year. All of a sudden, it's very apparent. That little boy who traded in his horse for a mini bike, well, he's the man to beat for the 2003 AMA Supercross Championship.
It's been a really fast transition and really fast career for me since I've gone onto the world scene in 2001, and you know, sometimes you really have to take a big breath and you know, and really look the path that you've been along, and it's pretty amazing, and it's been a hell of a long lot of fun. You know, when you're so young and you can control something that's so fast, it's really impressive, and you know, as a person, you really get a kick out of it. And for me, I've never can get too much of that kick. It's a lot of fun, and racing dirt bikes now feels just like I was when I was young. You know, just the jumps are bigger and the highest speeds are a little faster. That's fun.
Ever since we started watching the Australians and the Americans have at it in road racing, I've always enjoyed that sort of motorcycling rivalry. Chad Reed was on Wind Tunnel the other night. Kid really impresses me. For 21 years old, has a very level head, but a great deal of enthusiasm. He's very, very focused. He knows exactly where he wants to go in life. He knows the obstacles that he's got to face to get there. Okay, guys like Ricky Carmichael, but he's ready for the challenge. He's thinking, bring it on. This kid has a very, very bright future in Supercross. Let's go back upstairs to the guys calling the action tonight and qualify some more cats for the big final.
Well, we're almost ready to set the rest of the field here, but RJ, I have to know, you know Chad Reed very well yourself, and is he in fact the real deal?
Well, I did an interview 2 years ago for Supercross.com with him, and he made a comment. You know, he said, when I came over here, my father told me, if they bleed, you can beat them. And his whole thing was he wanted to get to the 250s. A lot of guys thought, who's this arrogant Australian guy saying he doesn't want to step back to the 125 class? But he was very comfortable on the 250 and wanted to be there. And when he said that, a lot of people took it the wrong way. But as you can see, he's backing up all of his words. He's very mature. He's not here with his parents, you know, babysitting him or anything. He's doing his own thing, and he's become his own man. And when he said about Travis Pastrana, I liked racing against Travis. The more competition for Chad Reed, the better. The guy is a fierce competitor.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing him in the main event, but we have to add some company for him. First of all, we put 8 riders in out of the heat races, another 10 from the semis. We got a great crowd on hand here, and we're going to take a look at highlights from the action in the semifinal. Semi number 1. This one was pretty action-packed, and keep an eye out for the number 8 of Grant Langston. You won't see him for a while because a lot of other riders were out in front early, including Jason Thomas on the 38.
Jason Thomas out in front, but Grant Langston getting a great run coming back and forth. You can't really see it, but he's got a little E replica. He's got an all-red helmet with a big number 8 on it, hoping for a little bit of that luck, and he brings home the win.
When Jason Thomas was the leader, he kind of stalled in the middle of the racetrack and gave everybody else a pretty free run. Langston ends up the winner. We'll take a look at the results from heat number 1. The top 5 qualified, including Langston, Thomas, Nick Way, Keith Johnson, and Tyler Evans, all of whom were among the higher seeded riders, and a nice mix of machines as well. Heat number 2 put another 5 riders in there. And in this one, what a great battle all the way down the line.
As you look down the inside, that number 30, remember the cousin that Chad Reed was talking about? That's Craig Anderson. That was who Chad credits for teaching him how to ride. But our cameraman out there, Andrew Short, with a very, very strong ride, got out in front, got a little bit of push from Heath Voss, but Andrew Short bringing it home.
He was carrying our camera there in his first heat race. Didn't qualify then, but he sure made a good show of it in semifinal number 2. The transfer position, the final one, also a good race down to the line. Short's long since crossed the finish, but this one went right to the last couple of jumps.
Joe Olaf bringing that home.
And Olaf, along with Craig Anderson and Pavolny in the 4th position there. So these 5 riders have joined the 5 from semi number 1 and the 8 from the heats event. Now, RJ, they've gone out, they've done some track maintenance, and you know, so things continue to change, not only from the riders' point of view. They're the ones changing it, but now the crew has gone out and made some adjustments as well.
As our pro spotter has put out there, this is probably the most maintenance that I've seen Gary Bailey do on a Daytona Supercross track. Also, it is the driest track. You know, they want to keep the track dry for the road race tomorrow, so they've brought the Supercross track in a little bit. But you can see the different dirt. You know, you see the red dirt that they use for the jump, so it stays consistent. You can see the ruts back and forth. A palm tree occasionally to give you that Florida feel. But it's these ruts that will get you. You got the soft sand on top with the hard clay and shale underneath. This track is more like an outdoor.
Man, I shouldn't even mention that this year is a lot different than last year. No rain. We were weather plagued 1 year ago here at Daytona, but it has been beautiful all bike week long. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Daytona. Ricky Carmichael's knee injury denied him the opportunity to make history in this Daytona Supercross by Honda. Tied with Jeff Stanton for 4 consecutive wins here at Daytona. He didn't get to go for number 5. Let's see how he got that 4th one. It's an old story. You can't win the race in the first turn, but you can lose it there. And the race to turn 1 was about the only thing Ricky Carmichael didn't win last year at Daytona. In fact, over the last 4 years at Daytona, by the exit of turn 2, he was in the lead, and by the end of lap 1, he was in command. Here in front of the Florida fans in his home state. Yeah, the other guys chased. They did their best, but at the end of this thing, RC was in another time zone and raced into the record book, his 4th straight victory in this race, and first guy to win both 125 and 250 at Daytona. And with that, we turn our attention to the potential for history here tonight. That could be made by Chad Reed. Let's go to the guys who will call the action, Brian Drever and Ricky Johnson.
Can't help but being reminded how much different the conditions were a year ago. Ricky Carmichael finishing in the mud. Here's our starting grid. Travis Pastrana with gate choice was the winner of the faster heat. Chad Reed, the winner of the other one. Then Windam and Sean Hamlin also will get very good start positions. And the start position changes constantly through the night. And so each and every one of these guys has had to really kind of rethink what they want to do before they get this one underway.
Yeah, everybody's, you know, they got that final prep lap. You know, they got to go look and see how much the track has deteriorated. But Travis Pastrana, right there, the nerves have got to be going through this kid. Chad Reed, guy loves competition. He's ready to race. Right next to him, Kevin Windam, his main competition on a big 450. I wouldn't know if I would really want, you know, that much heat on the inside of me. Sign is sideways.
Chad Reed on the box next to Windam. Travis Pastrana 3 spots away on the other side. Here we go to turn number 1, and it looks like Reed, but from the outside, Reed, yes, it looks like Chad Reed with the whole shot.
Travis Pastrana on the inside, in second place with Sean Hamlin in third, David Vuillemin, Michael Byrne coming in there, and Craig Anderson was the rider that Reed was bumping on. So 2 cousins were banging back and forth in the first turn at Daytona.
Chad Reed and Travis Pastrana at the front of the field right now, but it was the blue bike to turn number 1 first, then second, then first coming off the other side. Here we are. They're still very close together. Travis Pastrana back in third position right now. Chad Reed out in front. We heard him say at the beginning of the show, and we've heard him say all week long how much he wants to win this race that was denied him a year ago.
Yep, Chad Reed wants to win Daytona. It's the most prestigious Supercross out there because of the International Flair Bike Week and everything like that. He's also one of the only riders that will be able to win it on a 125 and a 250. Only that's a very small class. But Travis Pastrana in second place with Sean Hamlin right behind him. I think you're going to see Pastrana be smart. He knows he's got a long race ahead of him. He wants to play it smooth. But also, Chad Reed cannot relax. This track, remember, has been biting people.
Reed, then Pastrana, then Hamlin, 1, 2, 3, and I think Greg White can add to all this.
Oh, absolutely. Chad Reed, he's got a lot of composure. RJ knows about composure. Right before they went out for the race, Chad Reed sat there and he threw me a big yawn and a thumbs up and said, I'm ready for this race, no problem.
Yeah, Chad Reed, one of those guys that is just the epitome of a racer. His dad told him, you know, if they bleed, you can beat them, and he's out there beating the best in the world right now.
The big loser on this whole start here, not necessarily by choice, but was the number 14, Kevin Windam. He was 9th at the end of the first lap, so he's really got a long way to go. Grant Langston is a couple of spots behind him. The 30 of Craig Anderson is right there with him, and it is Kevin Windam who's fighting his way towards the front. He's up to 8th at the moment, maybe even a little higher than that.
And right in front of him is the Ironman, Mike LaRocco. He has now started his 200th race. Let's see what he can do. He's had a lot of top 5s here at Daytona, but has never won the Daytona Supercross.
So it is something of a teammate, a fellow Honda rider at least, Kevin Windam chasing Mike LaRocco, who has completed a record 200th start in Supercross, and he just continues going. Ironman Mike LaRocco.
Kevin Windam all over it. Like you say, they are AMSOIL Honda teammates, but you know what? When it's time to go, it's time to go. Both of those guys don't worry about rubbing on each other a little bit. They know they might have to get close, but they're not going to take each other out.
LaRocco holding off Windam for the moment. Reed holding off Pastrana as well up front with Hamlin third, Byrne fourth, Vuillemin in fifth. Then it's LaRocco and Windam, the battle we're watching here, and it still goes on. LaRocco in the air, Windam coming up close to him. Can he make a move on this part of the racetrack? He cuts inside but can't get by.
This is one of those times in the race when you're out there like Windam now getting by Mike LaRocco, but Mike LaRocco still stuffing it back on the inside. That's the one thing about LaRocco. You cannot give him an inch because he'll stuff it right back in.
And keep in mind that Kevin Windam is much more embroiled in this championship than LaRocco. LaRocco fourth in points, Windam second. Chad Reed is out in front. LaRocco's losing big points here for the title in the 2004 Supercross.
Well, Windham's looking over to the next track, and he sees how far Reed is out in front. That's one of the things about this race. You know you have so much time and so much pain to endure, but then again, you look over and you see your competition pulling further and further away, and you just think, screw it, I'm going to deal with the pain. I'll deal with the pain later. It's time to charge now.
So out in front, it's Reed. We're watching a lot of really good battles, a little bit deeper in the field. We got an incident.
Michael LaRocco hooking his front brake. What happened there, Brian, was come into the corner, right-hander, and the little knob on the end of the front brake, grab that plastic baggie on that hay bale, and it pulls the front brake to stop, and down he goes.
So LaRocco loses the number 6 position to Windam, and Grant Langston is right there behind Mike LaRocco now. So see if Langston can take advantage. There is the number 8 machine of Langston, who was sat down for a race.
Langston, the sole KTM rider out there and past world champion. He's been one of those riders that has shown unbelievable speed, and he's also hit the ground very, very hard. But Grant Langston, a very, very tough competitor from South Africa, so he's going to keep flying.
Langston's best finished 5th in San Francisco for the season. He struggled a little bit here in the 2004 Supercross Series. There's Chad Reed, your leader, on the Yamaha, out in front right now, and unchallenged for the moment anyway by Pastrana, who has kept him close, only a couple of seconds back. A little bobble by Reed, as Pastrana will be right there to pound.
You can listen to the power of Chad Reed's bike. He's so patient. He picks his move. I'd say he's the smartest racer out there. Ricky Carmichael was more of a brute force racer that was just charged 100%. Chad Reed, a little more calculated, takes his time. If he doesn't feel right, he'll not jump a double. Ricky Carmichael, anytime it was jumpable, go for it.
Chad Reed's fastest lap, and you just saw it on the bottom of the screen a moment ago, came on the most recent lap. So Chad Reed isn't slowing down. He's getting faster here, only a few laps into this race. And it is a 20-lap event, so we're only about a quarter of the way there. Stay with us, a lot more action to come.
We did all the work, so you get to have all the fun. Presenting the Aqua Tracks from Honda, the only all-4-stroke lineup of personal watercraft in the world, including the brand new turbocharged 2-seater, the R12X. Advanced 4-stroke technology means high performance and low pollution. So the water stays cleaner, man. And so does the air. It's just what you'd expect from Honda. Pure performance. To find a dealer near you, visit Honda.com.
Passion, power, excitement. Motorcycles, they make your pulse race. Get paid for doing what you love by training for it.
Back at the Daytona Supercross by Honda. And watching some battles throughout the field here. The number 12 bike of David Vuillemin. Vuillemin is running in 6th position.
Now just getting past Michael Byrne. Byrne chopping him off a little bit, so these two riders going back and forth.
Yep, Byrne on the 26 bike. Those two are 5th and 6th position. Kevin Windam moved past them both, and that's him disappearing in the distance. He's all the way up to 4th, so Kevin Windam took advantage of a little bobble by Mike LaRocco and was able to get away after battling with him for a while, and he's closing on the leaders. He's getting closer all the time, and he's definitely moved up from 9th place on lap 1 to 4th right now.
Kevin Windam running very, very strong. Also was a very strong finisher in all the Supercross races. So physically, Kevin's ready to go and to keep charging. But two of the guys that we haven't been seeing much of is Travis Pastrana and Sean Hamlin. Both riders running very strong. But Michael Byrne fighting his way back past Vuillemin and now putting about 3 seconds on him.
Chad Reed, our leader, is up into the lapped riders right now. Let's go down to Greg White.
Thanks. I'm down here with Ricky Carmichael. We're just hanging out. And I want to ask you, how difficult is it for Chad Reed right now to maintain his mental focus?
Probably not too difficult because Pastrana's still kind of, they're at that breaking point. But when he does get far out, he's probably going to enjoy the moment, So mentally, it is pretty easy. You find other things to do to kind of keep you focused.
How big is it to win Daytona?
Oh, it's the biggest race of the year, single race to win. It's almost like its own little championship.
How excited are you to get back to racing?
Oh, really excited. I was like, man, I would love to just suit up and race this race because I'm so confident here and I love it here. And but hey, it is what it is, and I'm just glad to be here watching at this point.
And we'll get more of you Tuesday, right? On Two Wheel Tuesday.
Heck yeah, I can't reveal too much because we got to have something good for the show.
All right, thanks, Brian.
Watching Chad Reed out in front right now. His record here at Daytona, a winner in the 125, a runner-up to Ricky Carmichael in the 250 race a year ago. So Chad Reed wants very much to win it. We've heard him say it. He's getting it done out there right now. We have finished 7 laps, and only Reed and Pastrana have done so. The rest have yet to cross the finish line.
Travis Pastrana running very, very strong, but he's saving energy. You watch Travis out there, he's got that long 6'3" body, and he's just playing it smooth, playing it very smart. Now we're watching the dice between Mike LaRocco catching up to David Vuillemin. LaRocco's one of those guys that you can set a watch off of. He goes the same lap after lap, and every time in the heat race, his fastest lap is always the end.
All right, Chad Reed out in front, Travis Pastrana in second position. Both of them have been 125 winners. Only Ricky Carmichael has won both the 125 and 250. Kevin Windam closing on third place. Sean Hamlin now. So Windam is completing on a very impressive run to the front from 9th place on lap 1.
Kevin Windam keeps charging forward. He's racing for the championship. He's not going to give up. He knows he lost a little ground, but here we can watch him. He's getting in closer and closer to Sean Hamlin, and now he worked himself just past him.
Just side by side, Hamlin edges back in front again through this timing section, and Kevin Windam on his number 14 Honda still trying to get it done. That's a 4-stroke bike, and Sean Hamlin is on a 2-stroke, so that could be the difference through that little timing section maybe.
A very impressive run for Windam. He's been working his way up through. He doesn't lose his focus. You watch how smooth he is. He doesn't override the 4-stroke. He's got a lot of composure. Him and Chad Reed are the most composed riders out on the track, and even though he got past Hamlin got back by him, he's still going to keep working. He's just going to keep moving forward.
Great racing and side-by-side action as Sean Hamlin is not willing to give up that position. We should add that they're only about 4 seconds behind, maybe 5 seconds behind Travis Pastrana in second place. So if Kevin Windam continues at the pace that he is right now, he could move up and get another runner-up finish perhaps here today. As good as that would be an incredible run to the front.
Well, definitely, and that's one of the things when you're racing for a championship, you can't give up those points. Unfortunately for Kevin, that's the biggest point split between first and seconds is that 3 points, and you hate to give those up week after week, but definitely, if Chad Reed's in first, Kevin Windam has to be in second if he wants a chance at the Supercross Championship.
So let's go down for more with Ralph.
Brian, one of the keys for Kevin Windam is the access to Jeff Stanton, another former Honda star who's had great success at this facility. And talking to Jeff earlier today, we were discussing the 2 rhythm sections at the far ends of this racetrack that are different than they have been here in years past. And RJ, one of the things that Jeff talked about was not over-engineering those rhythm sections. Don't try to triple where you don't need to. Just get yourself through it, but get yourself through it consistently each and every time.
Here's Kevin Windam working his way towards the front, currently running in third position, a position that he has never enjoyed at a finish this season yet. just past the halfway mark, 10 laps down, 10 laps to go for Chad Reed with about a 20-second advantage over Travis Pastrana. It looked like it was going to be a very close race early on, but Reed is making this one look a lot like a James Bubba Stewart runaway.
Definitely. Reed's been running very strong, a lot like Bubba. Out in front, his biggest worry right now is the track and lap riders. And Pastrana goes down in the rhythm section after the finish line. He goes down. It's off camera right now, but Travis Pastrana goes down and now gets back up in third position.
So Kevin Windham moves up to second, where he has finished so many times to Chad Reed this season by a mistake on the part of Travis Pastrana. But here is Chad Reed out in front. He can't know anything about what's going on behind him. And Chad Reed is just hustling through another timing section. We'll have a look at Travis Pastrana's mishap here in just a moment. And Chad Reed knows nothing of it.
Okay, one of the things that Ralph was talking about is that in this track you can over-engineer it. You can try too much. You know, what some of the riders, they always want to try to win by trick. But let's take a look at Travis Pastrana. He swaps, gets off side to side. He's a little bit loose back and forth. Now the thing swaps. He lands down, loses his foot peg, and down he goes. Travis was able to get up quick, so that's good. Keeps the bike running, keeps rolling. But hey, the Daytona track just bit Travis Pastrana.
Well, Pastrana's been out of competition for a while, and I have to think that there's a little bit of difference there. He almost rolled it over on the front wheel again. And here comes the number 5 of LaRocco up behind him and past him, it looks like. And Pastrana seems to have kind of lost his confidence a little bit and maybe even lost his rhythm. Being out of competition so long has to hurt you.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw any stones right now at Travis Pastrana. For him to come out, win a heat race, run second quick in practice to Chad Reed, and then be up in front this whole time, hey, this track beats you up like you can't believe. So Travis Pastrana, my hat is off to him. I think he's gonna come back and shock the world.
Oh, I think we could have a whole cheering section for Travis Pastrana and what he has accomplished out here today. But the fact is, he's just not quite the Travis Pastrana capable of winning this race. Ralph?
Brian, one of the keys is something we talked about a little while back earlier tonight was the fact that this is not a race that is going to be determining the future of Travis Pastrana. He was telling me earlier that, you know, he might still run St. Louis, he might not. This was just a race that they started feeling pretty good about, and so he decided to come run this. The big key for Travis is really focusing on 2005. He might run a bunch more of these Supercrosses this year. He might go a little bit easier at it. One of the things he is going to do is some more car racing. He's got a Porsche Cup race in Malaysia coming up this year. He's got 6 more SCCA Pro Rally races to do. And most importantly, it's prepping himself mentally for 2005. He really felt strong about tonight because he ran 2 20-minute motos and then rode his bicycle 20 miles back to the hotel to prove to Roger DeCosta that, hey, physically, I'm fit. Mentally, I feel good. But we're going to get ourselves back into this racing game and go after it in 2005.
All right, well, Travis Pastrana having a look over at the number 12 of David Vuillemin, and Pastrana losing another spot. But talk about runs to the front. We already chronicled Kevin Windam going from 9th to 2nd. Mike LaRocco was 8th about the same time, and he's moved all the way up to 3rd. Past
Hamlin?
Yeah, Hamlin, exactly.
Hamlin, Pastrana, everybody. But you know what, though? We keep watching Travis Pastrana around there. He's out of gas. And when you can box and spar and do everything, but when you get into a fight, you use up energy that you didn't know you have. And so Travis Pastrana is doing a great job. He's still out there. He's still in the game, and he's still in the top 10. So he's running awesome. But Mike LaRocco, they don't call him Iron Mike for nothing because he stays in there. He keeps banging away. And he's one of those riders that even though Windham was a little bit quicker, don't count out Mike LaRocco. He has a way of finding speed. Right now we're watching Michael Byrne work his way back up. Travis, just a little worse for where.
Oh, down he goes. Didn't see Byrne on the inside there, and they tangled up a little bit. Travis Pastrana down on the course. You see the safety workers warning the other riders to go around him. Pastrana's up. The bike is running. He remounts and continues.
We saw Nathan Ramsey, Nick Way, and also Sean Hamlin go by Pastrana. Nick Way with a terrible start working his way back up. As we take another look at this, Travis sits down just a little bit tired. Byrne squares him up. He just kind of relaxed in the groove, then stuck, then boom, down he goes. When you're out of energy like that, it just seems like nothing goes right. In Travis Pastrana's world right now, this is the longest day, the longest moto of his life. But you know what, though? He'll come back strong.
Chad Reed has completed 13 laps. He has led every one of them. And is he on his way to his first 250 Supercross victory at Daytona? We'll see. Another lap in the books for Chad Reed out in front. He has no one to race just the course itself, his own fitness, his own determination, focus, and concentration as he comes up behind the 64 of James Pavolny on a Honda two-stroke. Goes right by him.
Yeah, working his way through the crowd. And right now, his biggest threat is the lappers and these ruts out there. But Chad, very, very smart. He knows he's got a big lead. He's not going to take any chances. He doesn't need to impress anybody right now because he already has done that. He's way out in front.
Chad Reed on the number 22 factory Yamaha, a two-stroke machine. Makes his home in Dade City, Florida. Windham there with a little bobble, but recovered nicely. Kevin Windham running in second position, about 27 seconds behind Reed. So Reed and Windham and Reed, that's been the story all 2004 Supercross Series. Tonight it's Chad Reed's night again, and Kevin Windham may have to settle for second position. There's still a lot of laps to go, though, 6 in fact, and it seems like a long way to the finish line when you look at it like that.
We saw Kevin Windham out in front and with a slightly comfortable lead over Travis Pastrana and make a mistake. This track has a way of biting you, so nobody can relax until the checker flag falls. Until you have that Daytona trophy in your hand, you better not relax because this track can come back to bite you.
Alongside and past the number 30 bike right now goes Kevin Windham. It's Craig Anderson that he just passed and put a lap down. We should add that Chad Reed, there's the mistake, and Pastrana's right behind him. Chad Reed down.
Chad Reed lapping Travis Pastrana and then making a small mistake. It was just off camera, but we saw him go down, pick himself back up. Like I said, you can't relax on this track. It'll bite you.
So Pastrana looked like he was right there, but in fact, you're right. He lapped him. We'll take another look at it here. Chad Reed, just a momentary lapse.
Well, he just comes across the inside, loses his footing, he goes down in a very, very high-speed area. So luckily for Chad, he did not hit harder than that. But, you know, just came in, lost his footing a little bit, missed his peg, and down he goes.
And luckily for him, he had such a big lead that he didn't lose a position. In fact, barely lost any of the lead that he had built up over the first 14 laps.
You watch how this track just gets so rough and so brutal on the riders and the machines. You try to set your bike up to do all these different things, and it's almost impossible because it's not like a typical sand track. You have that layer of grass, so it gets a sharp edge, and the bumps become almost negative, so they want to deflect this. It's rare you see bikes swap anymore, but you see it at Daytona because of the grass warps.
Chad Reed still working it, still showing great form. Back to Mike LaRocco on the number 5 bike, running in third position. Iron Mike in his 200 Supercross start is going to stand on the box if things stay the way they are.
This guy's a stud. I mean, I've watched him win 500 championships, 250s. I mean, the guy just keeps going and going. And now he's one of them guys like John Dowd that gets better in some cases with age. We're still working on those starts, but you got to take your hat off to this man. He is one strong man. He's now he's 11 seconds behind Kevin Windham, but this race isn't over.
Mike LaRocco on the 5 bike right there, where each rider involved in his own little personal battle had high goals, I'm sure. Each one of them had goals of winning this race. They'll have to satisfy themselves with what they've accomplished instead when it's all over. There is Mike LaRocco working his way around the racetrack.
If Mike LaRocco makes it up here, he's going to get 6 podiums this year out of 10 rounds. So Mike LaRocco, very strong, very consistent.
And speaking of goals, David Vuillemin thought he would do a lot better here at Daytona this season. After this place has been something of a disappointment in the past, he's actually been a spectator at this event previously. David Vuillemin, running in 5th position right now, has done pretty well. Maybe not as well as he expected. We heard from him earlier.
David Vuillemin's been one of those riders that's been believable fast.
So there is Vuillemin. Chad Reed on a similar machine is out in front. Daytona Supercross by Honda comes to a close. Inside 3 laps to go, and Chad Reed is out in front right now. He had one little small mistake. He is inside 3 laps to go, so he can try to hang on to that 16-second advantage he has over Windham. Windham was nearly 30 seconds behind him at one point, and it's closed the gap tremendously.
Chad Reed running very smooth now. It looks like he's just being consistent. He's not trying to break any records, but this is the hardest point of the race. I've been here at Daytona where I've had a big lead, and this is frustrating because the track, you're trying to go fast, But with all these ruts and bumps and grooves and stuff, it's hard. It's like a governor. It keeps you down there. He's down to a 1:15, and that's his slowest lap of the race.
Well, we should add that he did a 1:19 the previous lap, while Windham did a 1:15. So Windham's making up some ground on Chad Reed. Take a look here at the 14 bike of Kevin Windham, the 4-stroke Honda versus the 2-stroke Yamaha. Is the battle right now, not only for the championship, but here at Daytona as well. We still have 2 laps remaining to decide this one, and as you have already said, anything can happen. Ricky Carmichael and, Ricky Johnson, sorry,
the other one
downstairs. Yeah. Here's Chad Reed. What do you see in his form now?
Chad Reed just running clean right now, just not making a mistake. He's taking a little extra time as he comes over the jump, wants to land right on the downside so he gets maximum time to set up for each rut. He does not want to over jump anything here at Daytona because it puts you into a really steep face whoop, or it puts you right into a rut. And if you're off a little bit, we've watched him bite riders all night long. Remember in the 125, Bubba Stewart almost over the bars 2 laps from the end.
All right, Ralph Shaheen, what does it look like from your position?
Well, Brian, I went down and talked to some of the crew guys down here, and they can't seem to pick out exactly what the problem is, but it seems to be exaggerated with Chad Reed's bike under braking.
White flag, final lap for Chad Reed. No matter what it is, he perhaps, and I say perhaps because anything can happen, has enough of an advantage to ride that full lap all the way to the finish line. 1 minute and 15 seconds roughly for Chad Reed to survive and become a Daytona 250 Supercross winner. Second place, Kevin Windam, just on the gas, hoping and praying that he can catch Chad Reed on this final lap if anything happens to him.
Right now, Chad knows right where Kevin is at, and he's just taking his time. If we do have a problem with Chad Reed's bike smoking more under braking, more than likely when he fell down, if he went up against the hay bale, he could have melted some of the plastic onto the rotor, and it's just melting off. So maybe the rotor's getting a little hotter, and it's throwing up some smoke. But right now, I think he could go around with no brakes and just roll around, which he's taking his time.
Well, he certainly is taking his time. 1 minute, 17-second lap ago. He's got a 14-second advantage. He can afford to slow down quite a bit more, Chad Reed, and still hang on to win this Daytona Supercross 2004 and extend his points lead in the championship. There's Kevin Windam still on the gas.
Yeah, still giving it a go, but as you can see, this track has a way of stealing your momentum. You know, Gary Bailey designs an awesome track, a very rough track, but he also designs it so that it'll get more and more rough, more like an outdoor. So that's what's tricked a lot of guys, and here's Chad Reed.
Chad Reed takes the checkered flag, the fireworks, the celebration by his team. Kevin Windam will follow him home in second position. And once again, the 2 main players of the 2004 Supercross Championship are going to finish 1 and 2. Chad Reed obviously has, well, he's not, we can't tell if he's hurting or whether he's just emotional. And Greg White is in the area right there. Perhaps we'll get a word with Greg real quick, and we'll find out a little bit more about what's going on with Chad Reed. The crowd is enjoying the celebration by the Yamaha team, and their number 22 rider, the Australian Chad Reed, has become the first international rider in 30 years to win the Daytona Supercross. The man who did it 30 years ago, Pierre Carsmakers, is on hand and watching. So there is the gathering around Chad Reed. It seems as though he just took a moment to kind of gather his thoughts. And Greg White?
Yeah, I'm down here. Chad, what's going on? It was a great win for you. You seem like you're hurting a little bit. What's up?
Yeah, I just had a pretty big crash and just hurt my side and just totally took my breath away, and just I was like struggling to stand up, and this is not a track you need to struggle to stand up on, and it kind of just hit me like right in the side, and just I was kind of dry reaching a little bit, but I'm fine. I got the win, which was what I wanted, and I'm glad to get a mistake out of the way and still be able to win. And I thank all the guys at Yamaha for giving me a great bike and being able to win, and all the guys at Thor Putts Unlimited, all the guys at Bridgestone, Scott. Everyone did a great job, and I was just lucky that I won because I could have blown that for myself and the team.
Let's get you to the podium. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Well, a somewhat subdued Chad Reed said he hurt himself pretty bad. It was apparently a worse get-off than it looked like.
Yeah, he had a lot of speed. He ran along the sides. It sounded like it knocked the wind out of him. Maybe cracked a rib or something like that. We've seen some guys get bruised lungs. We've had it happen to Sean Hamblin and Nick Way over the past couple weeks.
So there's Chad Reed climbing on and back off his motorcycle, and you can tell he's obviously hurting just a little bit. So what we thought might be a joyous celebration is, in fact, a young man who's dinged up a little bit and feeling the effects of a 20-lap Daytona Supercross course. That was a tough one here tonight.
Well, he's a tough kid, man, and he bounced right back up, got going. You know, it was always kind of my theory was get up before the pain sets in and keep going, and definitely Chad Reed had to do that. But awesome ride for Chad Reed, awesome ride for James Stewart.
Chad Reed walking away from the finish line. Again, the first rider other than an American to win here at Daytona.
Doc Bodner, who does all the stuff with the people from Asterisk, and you know, it's great to have those guys on call. You know, every time the rider gets hurt or something like that, they're there. They also, Asterisk provides a X-ray and basically an emergency ward for all the riders at all the Supercross events. That's also manager Bobby Moore and trainer Jeff Spencer.
One other look at the crowd now filing its way out of the grandstand. I have to think that this move to Friday night under the lights, it was certainly different. And Rick Johnson, one of the bigger crowds I think we've seen here in recent years, maybe one of the biggest ever.
I think it was a great success. You know, a lot of people said, oh, the lights weren't going to work and this and that. It was an awesome show. Gary Bailey put on a great track. The crowd came out. The people from Daytona, you know, let the people buy a bonus pack for, there's a lucky fan with Bubba's jersey. You know, let the riders come down and get closer. Daytona, you're always so far away when you're up in the stands, but let the people get down close to the track, let them see the track, let them smell the fumes and everything. So all in all, I think this day, the 2004 Daytona Supercross was a success.
I think I'll add my endorsement for the idea as well. It was very, very special. One of the most exciting things we've seen here within the confines of the Daytona International Speedway on two wheels. Of course, we've got a lot going on. There's the Professor Gary Bailey that designed the course. He's probably getting a little bit of word from Chad Reed saying, you know, you could have made it just a little bit. Could you figure out a way to make it get easier towards the end, Gary?
Gary, why couldn't you have a hay bale over there right, so I could fall on it and it'd be a little bit softer? But, you know, Gary's done this for years, and on Thursday night we had a track walk, and everyone kind of gave their 2 cents. Gary got a little sensitive, didn't like getting advice from everybody, but, you know, he's done a great job, and as Bevo Forte, our spotter, had said, there was more maintenance tonight than any other year.
So congratulations to the winner. Congratulations to the man who designed the track and gave us such a great competition. We're all winners here tonight.
And scooters. The crowd are headed home, and what a show they've seen here tonight. Chad Reed doing the business. He had the goal. Goals carry a price tag, and so tonight he has the trophy, but he also has the pain. Let's go up top.
All right, Chad Reed indeed finishing in first position there and sort of limping his way towards the podium. But Kevin Windam, I can't help but be impressed by the run that he made up to get second place, but also a little depressed for him in that he has to win races at this time of the year, Rick Johnson, and not finish second. Nevertheless, let's take another look at Kevin Windam's remarkable run from 9th place on lap 1 to the front.
Right now, going past Craig Anderson, working his way through the pack. Kevin Windam is so smooth, perfect body position. Here he goes, works on, gets behind Mike LaRocco. LaRocco gets hung on the bail. He keeps working his way up, passes Sean Hamlin, just keeps it rolling. At this point, you know, Travis Pastrana ended up going down, but Kevin Windam, awesome race, but like you say, he's winning some battles, but he's losing the war slow.
So let's go downstairs now. Ralph Shaheen is with our runner-up finisher.
And we are standing here with Kevin Windam, and we've been discussing the race, and the big thing you're telling me about was all about the start, coming out of the gate. What went wrong?
I got a horrible jump, you know. I mean, everyone knows that the Honda 450's got the power to get you to the first turn first. Tires were hooking up great, but I just got a bad jump, and it's unfortunate, you know, because I know what it's like to get out there and sprint, you know, and I saw Chad out front, and I was like, well, you know, this is going to be one of the easiest races of his life, you know, because I think the last 3 races here, either I jumped out or he jumped out, and you just we can't catch one another if we're back in the pack. And it was unfortunate, you know, because here at Daytona I was just back there working, knowing that the win was kind of out of my reach, unless I had some kind of unfortunate accident where he did go down, but he just wasn't down long enough. But it was a good night. I'm happy to finish strong. I had a good ride, and my Honda and Amsoil Chaparral Factory Connection bike, awesome.
One of the things you did do, though, was keep this championship chase alive, and one of the things you're going to have to do is really start turning the heat up on the pressure to get some wins. How can you do that?
Well, good question, and something that I've been trying to do. I've been working on that a lot, and I've been able to put a win together, you know, here and there. But the problem is I just can't string a couple in a row, and that's the difference, you know. And the beginning of the season, I got that bad start to the season. I finished 9th. That was horrible, and gave him that cushion. And you know, I guess he's somewhat on cruise control now, and he's able to string a couple of them together. And I got to stop that now because we're getting to the past the halfway point now, and it's never been more critical than now.
He's proven he can do it, though, Brian.
And Kevin Windam couldn't quite keep Honda's string of wins alive here. Ricky Carmichael put 4 in a row together. Chad Reed's win was the first for Yamaha since Jeremy McGrath had a pair of them on a blue bike back in 1998 and 1999. We'll take a look at all the results here. You'll be looking for the name of your favorite rider, no doubt. We hope you see it as high up on the list as you had hoped for. And Chad Reed, Kevin Windam, Mike LaRocco, the podium finishers. LaRocco also a remarkable run from the back to the front, to the back, and to the front again to get third. The Iron Man did it one more time.
Very impressive run for Nick Way. Got a terrible start, and that just goes to show the hours that he spends training with Todd Jacobs and putting in the time. That's what paid off, endurance.
Travis Pastrana running second early in the race, finished in 10th. Andrew Short, carrying our camera, was in 11th position, doing a fine job as well. Let's go downstairs once again and to Greg White this time.
Well, I'm down here with third place Mike LaRocco. First of all, congratulations. 200 starts, 6 podiums in 10 races. But are you happy?
Well, I mean, I got through tonight, and, you know, another podium finish, which is, it's always okay. But I've been wanting to win Daytona, you know, my whole career, and I've been here many times and haven't got it done yet. So that's a bummer. But, you know, I did what I could. I didn't get the greatest to start, and I went down, I snagged my front brake on a hay bale, and it was a tough track, and I was off with speed all night tonight, and I just didn't, it wasn't going to be. So I just did what I could and, you know, put my Amsoil Honda up there.
How were the track conditions? I mean, they varied a lot from start to finish, didn't they?
It's rough. I mean, it's definitely rough. It's an outdoor style Supercross track, and to ride the bikes we ride that are, you know, incredibly stiff, it beats you. And, you know, I felt it out there. It was definitely a tough race.
Can you win one of these this year?
You know, I like to think so. I mean, my speed is there on, you know, not every race, but, you know, sometimes I can get it together, and I just got to keep working at it and continue with my start.
Well, congratulations on your podium.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Brian?
9 times in the top 5 here at Daytona for Mike LaRocco, 6 times on the podium in his long career, but never a win. We'll take a look at the points for the season. Kevin Windam came in trailing by 26. That's the slow losing of the war part we're talking about. He leaves here down by 29, and we're well into this 2004 Supercross season. David Vuillemin holding on to third place, but by the barest of margins over Mike LaRocco. A pretty rough night for more riders out there. We saw Chad Reed have his own mishap, but Travis Pastrana really started backpedaling.
Let's look at some of the crashes. Travis Pastrana swapping side to side, I think partially due to fatigue. That's one crash. A little contact with Byrne, crash number 2. You know, so Travis Pastrana had a great night. Now here we take a look at Chad Reed. Loses the peg, goes down hard. I mean, he goes from about 30 miles an hour to 0. So that just goes to show you this track is tough. It's the highest speed Supercross, it's the longest Supercross, and it's the most diverse with the sand, grass, clay, and shale. So you have every element out there. And tonight we had the light switch. A lot of people thought that there was going to be a shadow problem. I thought that the crew here at Daytona did an awesome job to make this race a success.
Well, we've heard from our top 3 finishers. We've heard from my broadcast partner, a 7-time Supercross and Motocross champion. Now let's hear from our esteemed colleague, Mr. Dave Despain.
Yeah, well, not too esteemed. I picked Windham to win the thing. The bad start killed him. You know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about next year when we come back here to Daytona in the middle of the Supercross battle that has Chad Reed, possibly as the reigning champion, Kevin Windam as his primary challenger, Ricky Carmichael back healthy again, and Bubba Stewart up from the 125s, toss Travis Pastrana into the mix, and after all these years of McGrath and Carmichael dominating this series, all of a sudden, we could be in for one of the most exciting Daytona races ever, one of the most exciting Daytona Supercross series in a very long time. I think that's going to be a great thing. It comes back to those interesting personalities and getting them button heads out there on the racetrack. I'm tired of these runaways. Bring on the competition. How about it, guys?
Well, I'd have to agree with that, and I'm looking forward already. Let's see, it's how many days to Daytona 2005? We'll start counting them today, and we're going to come right back tomorrow with more road racing action here from the Daytona International Speedway. Pro Honda Oil Supersport at 10:30. An hour after that, BMW Cup. Then we've got Dirt Track on tape at 12:30. We come back with a pre-race show at 1:30 for the Daytona 200 by a rye, and that is what you call a day of motorcycle racing here on Speed. For Rick Johnson, for Greg White and Ralph Shaheen, my broadcast partners, I'm Brian Drever. So long, everybody.